Light those coals and throw on some burgers, steaks, all your favorites. Because once this fire starts burning, the good times are sure to start rolling. Kingsford, start something.
Looking for the best return on your investment? Do you want your hard-earned dollars stretched to do the most good for your community? That means that out of every dollar donated, a full 99 cents goes directly to the need being addressed. Help the Children is in Santa Clarita, helping Santa Clarita families and other Santa Clarita charities. When compared to more than 1.2 million charities in America, Help the Children is rated the 7th most efficient charity in the nation, operating on a 1% overhead, and we receive no government funding for our operations in the community. If you are looking to donate to the good of the Santa Clarita community, please consider partnering with Help the Children. What is donated specifically for Santa Clarita is kept in Santa Clarita and will help over 5,000 families and over 10 other agencies. Please visit our website and or call our office to make a difference in our awesome town community. 702-8852, helpthechildren.org.
Healthcare can be difficult if you're underinsured or have Medi-Cal. Samuel Dixon Family Health Center can help. Services are available on a sliding fee schedule. The mission of the Samuel Dixon Family Health Center is to give the Santa Clarita Valley access to affordable, quality primary care. There are 3 locations to serve you: Canyon Country, Newhall, and Valverde. Go to sdfhc.org for more information and to find the location most convenient for you.
Superstar Shaka Khan kicks off the 2018 AV Fair Palmdale Auto Mall Concert Series Friday, August 17th. Opening for Shaka Khan is music icon Sheila E. These famous R&B and funk superstars' voices and talent have mesmerized fans for decades. Tickets available online at avfair.com.
This is Kyle Jennings taking a look at your hometown station weather now. Temperatures today expected to be in the mid-90s. Expect sunny skies here in the Santa Clarita Valley. Overnight low is going to be in the mid to low 70s, but a sunny, beautiful weekend here in the Santa Clarita Valley. The 7th annual Comics for the Cause is coming to the Pack Wednesday, August 14th. For one night only, some of the best names in comedy come together to make you laugh and raise awareness for the Youth Project. Visit helpnothassle.org. This is a Problem Solver Politics production and does not necessarily represent the views of KHTS Radio or its ownership.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed.
People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of their people.
I am paying for this microphone, Mr. Every dollar released from taxation that is spent or invested will help create a new job.
Chivalry is dead, and women killed it.
They want to get at the table and start acting stupid and start tripping. Yeah. All you got to do is come back with, he's your president, he's your president.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
For the party that represents it, the Democrats.
Oh, goodness gracious. And we got a special guest today, none other than the infamous, the notorious, the up and the coming local politician, Jason Gibbs.
Card, thanks for having me on, brother.
Woo! And it's about time we got another one of our city council representatives in here to talk with us.
All right, dude. Okay, so Jason, you're in the hot seat, man. Today it's going to be
you got a lot of energy coming out right at the start of this thing.
That's what I'm talking about. Ooh, let's keep that up like 25% just because Jason is here.
Fight.
Look at this. Yeah, see, you're a big guy, a strong candidate, And Dave Goss supports you, I see. So, yeah, we'll keep giving you the bumper music. You know what I'm saying?
Hey,
just so,
I'll take it.
Just as like, oh, yeah, you know, just get you pumped.
The dude got Bob Keller's endorsement, and Bob's been the man.
All right, now actually we can't get rid of this. Okay. All right, so we are in the studio today with Jason Gibbs, running for city council. He's got an ambitious venture in front of him because he is going up against an all-incumbent city council. He is the proverbial David fighting the mutual Goliath of a bunch of people who really, really, really know the system. So that makes him one of two things: either incredibly stupid and foolhardy, or else incredibly courageous and worthy of attention and conversation here on Problem Solver Politics. So we understand that you got a meeting with Donald Trump here at about 6:30, so you got to go pretty soon. So we're going to touch you. No, I'm just kidding. You don't have a meeting with Donald Trump.
Please, I want some people to vote for this man.
So we understand that you're going to have to get out of here pretty soon. So we want to get some things out of the way and talk a little bit about your run. Later on, we've got Brittany Kirk and a couple of her friends who represent a local libertarian group talking about the best ways to talk politics in all the open forums and some of the areas where you can participate online and be in the know in Santa Clarita politics, because not all of us can be like Mark Murphy, who always shows up to every meeting with printed out articles circled and highlighted. I mean, if you're on Facebook Live, you have got to check this out.
I love the black and white print in my hands.
I mean,
I love the feeling of the soft texture of the ink fading into it. I'm also of that older boomer generation that messed up this whole thing, so we have to get to the paper and
this
figure
is beyond
it out.
baby boomer.
It also has additional uses if you know my meeting.
I mean, look at this. Like, this is highlighted, cut out. I mean, this is like the coupon cutters in the 60s. This is awesome, dude. I'm loving it.
What do you mean the 60s?
So, anyway, all right. So, Jason, really fast, man. The floor is yours. 30 seconds. Tell us who you are, what you're about, my man.
Sure, no problem. Jason Gibbs. As Cardon mentioned, I am a candidate for city council this year. I come into this with a little bit of different perspective. Yes, I am a young person coming into this, but
by young on city council, you mean less than 70, right?
Young in local terms. How about that?
Okay.
I've been attending city council meetings very regularly in subcommittee meetings for the last 2 years and been writing for the Signal for a lot of that time. I look at this in two ways. First one is we have a fantastic city. We do. And I think any candidate that comes in and wants to say, you know what, we got to change everything, everything's got to go, they're missing the big picture here. I think the foundation that this city's been built on is incredible. But I think we do need fresh perspective. We do need someone that's coming into this as a young family man that wants to make sure Santa Clarita is heralded in the future for being what it was known for 20 years ago, which is a place to come and raise a family and do it successfully.
How long have you been here in this city?
6 years. My wife and I came here in 2012.
But you come from close. Nearby.
Yes, I was born and raised in Santa Barbara. Okay. Went to school up in San Luis Obispo. I was a mechanical engineer by trade. Up there they have what's called the 4+1 program. You get your bachelor's and you get one more year to do your master's. I actually was in the 6+4 program. I decided to stay up there for a good 10 years.
Okay.
But it was only because I started working full-time. I was working full-time for an engineering firm that I'm still with today. I do a lot of work in the rocket launch business. And I met my wife my very last year of school, and she always wanted to work for Boston Scientific Corporation. Oh. And she landed her dream job there in 2012. And we were able to pick up and move everything down here. And so I travel a little bit every once in a while because we launch rockets up in Vandenberg Air Force Base, not so much in Santa Clarita.
All right.
So, but she was the driving factor to bring us here in 2012.
So you're talking the future. You're in biotech as well as, or in the medical community as well as the aerospace future.
Yes, my wife's a biomedical engineer by her teachings. So she got into like deep brain stimulation stuff. So I always got to make sure I'm on my best behavior. I don't know what she can do to me. But.
All right. So here's my question for you. It gets out on all the forums. Okay, we're interviewing Jason Gibbs, and people tune in because they want to hear what is gonna be the difference. I guess my conversation started with a lot of these candidates we have on the show, because one of the best parts of the show is getting to know a lot of the candidates on a different level than you see in their sterilized and euphemistic self-publicated mailers and websites. Is the show's called Problem Solver Politics. One of the reasons why me and Mark Murphy get along is because despite ideology, we're very much into solving problems. Exactly. Okay. And usually when people announce a candidacy, it's because there was a problem that they saw that was not getting solved correctly. What is the problems you see that you think you can solve better?
Sure. I look at it more from a reprioritization. I think the city has been on top of a lot of things, but I'd like to see a couple things come to the forefront. And one of the big ones I talk about in a recent piece I did for the Signal is our obligations to the CalPERS pension program. Now, obviously, that is a state-run program, but Santa Clarita is heavily invested in it. And being a young city at only 30 years old, we have to look to make sure that we're doing everything we can to make sure our pension obligations are paid and taken care of ahead of time.
Okay, so that was going to be my question. Is CalPERS is CalPERS, not SCV PERS.
That's correct.
And it's like whenever people run for city council, like I'll talk to Democrats that are saying, I think I'm going to run to city council to stop Donald Trump. You know, and I just think, okay, you have no idea. You are not within a stone's throw legislatively of anything that man can do. Unless we did something silly like, you know, declare ourselves a sanctuary city for ferrets, which I think we really should still. But
we're working
on that one. Okay. The ferret people are awesome, and I actually really think we should do it, if not just for the political theater. But anyway, they think oftentimes that local legislators have to do with national or statewide issues. And how do you think your actual winning the election would affect CalPERS?
How it can affect, obviously, we can't change what CalPERS does.
Yeah.
But what we can do is make sure that we, essentially, we pay ahead of time what our obligations are going to be to the fund. And I always say when we're tied into a system that we have no control over, it can be very dangerous. So, like this past year, CalPERS has reduced
like a bunch of illegal wars overseas that we have nothing to say in and Congress doesn't have approval of?
So CalPERS, like
okay.
right? CalPERS,
yeah,
we're talking about CalPERS. So as they reduced their return rates from 7.5% to 7% over the next 5 years. For local municipalities, that means two things: either the employee is going to pay more, or that local government is going to pay more. So while we can't control their return rates, what we can control is how much we contribute ahead of time to make sure we stay ahead of the game.
Okay,
so
is CalPERS solvent?
Right now, I wouldn't say so. I think it's about 68% funded.
So then why would we want to be paying ahead into an insolvent system that's going to crash?
Even if it crashes, you're still going to be obligated to pay for it.
Okay, but then why pay ahead? That's like paying ahead for the zombie apocalypse.
So when the crash comes, we're not sitting in a huge financial mess that most of the other cities are going to be in.
Well, wouldn't that be different than paying into the system? Wouldn't that be better said, I'm going to develop like similar to health savings accounts instead of medical insurance? Wouldn't it be better to say, okay, I think that we should be saving for financial obligations in the future instead of paying into the system early? If the system sucks, why pay into it early?
Because we're still obligated to pay into the system. Our people are involved in the system, so we can't just back out of it. Now, you can pay completely out of it, but you're talking hundreds of millions of dollars to do so. So if that's realistic, I wouldn't say it is at this point.
Okay.
But if we developed a schedule where we start really accelerating our payments, we could get to a point where maybe our funded obligations are in the 95% range, maybe even higher. So if that crash that we're talking about ever truly happened, we could be in a position that we're not just going to be in fiscal dire straits.
So basically, okay, so we've got a financial prepper here. That makes sense. That's cool. Rock on. I think for a lot of people that are into the personality and temperament of candidates probably wouldn't understand that as well. Something I liked, for example, about like Bob Keller, who's openly stated his desire to be out of city council multiple times, but he's a very dedicated citizen who stays because he feels he's truly is the better person for the job in many scenarios. Something I really liked about him, especially for example in the SB 54 argument, was the guts to stand up to a bad piece of state legislation. And to a certain extent, what I would like to see out of future candidates, both left and right, is the willingness to engage in something like an SB 54 argument and say, heck no, this isn't right, to the state legislature on things.
Yeah, but I'd like to see them do something in a timely manner. When we did it, first off, it had no impact on legislation, had no impact on funding. We had no impact on the county's law enforcement. It was basically a nice little opportunity for everybody to vent and an orchestrated response. I think that's a waste of time and a waste of city government. We have things that we need to take care of.
Well, hold on. You could say the same thing about the. You could say the
we
same
have
thing.
A $203 million budget to run this city, and the question is, are we doing what we need to take care of this city? Jason, you've got something that you've done that you're identifying as a possible solution for a new area, something new, something people can grab hold of that's not a pension issue. And I get the pension issue.
Sure.
That's a real dollars, nuts, and bolts thing that's got to be done. I'm an accounting major. I get that part. But it's this other issue, this idea on safety. I'd like to hear more about that.
Okay, fine. Fine.
Fine.
We'll talk safety. I was about to tell you that the Women's March could be called just an act of nonsensical political theater as well, but the fervor that it created for those that believed in the ideology is oftentimes worth it in the same way that the SB 54 argument was worth it for the people that believe in the ideology. So, fine, we can just talk regular security. That's fine.
Okay.
Law and order. You know what I'm saying?
I'm always into law and order, so let's get back to law and order.
Okay, yeah, but law and order is actually a serious concern, especially for me here.
Yeah.
You know, I can't tell you how frustrating the local system of law enforcement can be. We're a city large enough to have our own police force, yet we traditionally have subcontracted to the sheriff's department. But it's this big mess, because if you live north of Plum Canyon and you call the sheriffs, well, you're outside of city limits by like 1 block. So you have to wait for the guys to come down from Palmdale. But if you're on the other side of the street and they call, well, then you got the guys coming up whenever they got time, you know, from the central station here. But then the motorcycle cops, okay, that are bothering everybody on San Fernando, actually not San Fernando Road anymore, I just dated myself, but on Railroad Avenue, you know, given all those tickets and everything like that, aren't even from here, and were subcontracted because their division that reported to the Highway Patrol got toasted, and our city council said, oh, hey, we'll take them, we'll raise the revenue, you know, so we've got like 3 brigades of law enforcement here. Yet at the end of the day, I don't think the Santa Clarita people are confident that the problems are getting solved. This is not the city security-wise that it was 20 years ago.
No, and my concern is it's $26 million being spent out of our general fund on this. We're getting a brand-new sheriff station at Center Point. I sort of feel like that we really don't have an oversight or a demand. I keep hearing about how great our sheriff's department is. I have a different opinion. We'll share it at another time. But, Jason, tell us what you have in mind.
No, so my big thing was with the Public Safety Commission, which I'm really interested in looking at getting done at the City Council. I think it's very much a visibility issue. The people want to make sure that their problems are being addressed and that they're being addressed openly and publicly. And so for the Public Safety Commission, for those interested in area-specific crime, who are worried about opioids, who are worried about marijuana issue, for anything that we can really relate to public safety, which can include traffic as well, I think a Public Safety Commission would be a great place to bring the people together, because the point is you don't get it done if the community's not invested, and every part of it needs to be the sheriffs, it needs to be the community, it needs to be the nonprofits. I want everybody to come to City Hall.
So what are some specifics though? Like it's really good to say, okay, you know, I think it's a very relevant statement. Okay, unless we're all invested, unless we're all in this together. But at the end of the day, it could be a platitude without any kind of specifics. So like what can be done? What can Jason Gibbs change when he makes it to City Council to actually make it so that there's a restored confidence in law enforcement here from those that have lost confidence in it, and to bring all these groups together that you say you want to bring together? What are some specifics that could be done?
Well, specifically, Cardon, I need to have at least 2 more City Council members to agree with me to get it done. So for me to sit here and tell you Jason alone can get something done, it's a false promise.
I think you're going to find there's a lot more support there than, but it's someone who's got to take the lightning rod.
I agree, and I'm willing to do that.
Well, tell us more about this idea. I know parks and the whole concept of a Parks Commission and Arts has been very successful. I mean, we're starting to see what the
I'm loving it. It's one of the best parts of our city.
Wow. Absolutely. You look at all the different parks in the green belts, and I give Lorraine West has done a phenomenal job of spearheading that. Her and Jim have just done an amazing job, her husband Jim, in making sure that we got rec centers, that we got aquatic centers, parks, green belts. I think she's done a lot of leadership there. Now, though, the area that seems to be is policing this, is finding a way to manage the growth where we're dealing with so many issues that are crime related or crime prevention. And that to me says, do something, make a change. And that idea has not appeared to come from them. It seems to be coming from the new guy.
Well, I mean, I think they took the right direction with the new sheriff station that's being built. It's something that has been grossly needed in this city for a long time.
Wait, you don't like that 1970s Norman Bates lobby when you walk in and there's that big intimidating piece of glass where you're not sure if somebody's going to like launch a 50 cal at you through the window like they do in the movies? You know what I'm saying?
I spent 3 hours in that place just recently sitting there trying to get some personal effects for my wife, and I'm going to tell you, I felt like it was 1955.
Really?
It was sad.
Yeah, I hear you.
But I mean, the truth is, to get that sheriff station done, it took relationships. It took the community coming together. It needed a good relationship with the city and with the county in order to get the funding together to get that station done. So I think when I look at the Public Safety Commission, that is why I herald it for what it's going to be. It needs to be a place to come together, to be a kickoff point. So when there are issues that we talk about, if there's issues with how motorcycle cops are being handled, then you have a venue, you have a place to come and talk, and you have a group that's dedicated to public safety.
So this group does not exist and you want to create it?
I do.
Okay,
I do.
Excellent. So here's the big question, I guess, is we live in a soundbite-ridden society, and I'm going to get off the radio here, and I'm going to go home to my wife, and she's going to say, how was Mark? And I'm going to be like, well, worse than usual. I'm going to take an antidepressant just to get over the tension of dealing with this man.
It's rough.
And then, yeah, it's rough. And then she's going to say, well, who was your guest and what was he about? And I'm going to have 15 people throughout the week say, oh, well, who's your guest and what is he about? And I've got one sentence to tell them what you are about. What is the one sentence when I explain who Jason Gibbs is and his vision for his candidacy to City Hall? What is your one sentence?
The one sentence: the successes of yesterday will become more than just a legacy and become the accomplishments of tomorrow.
Did you just make that up right now?
Paraphrased.
Okay, cool. That was not too bad, but I saw you actually looking to the top left of your mind,
right,
which insinuates that, that's usually where guys look when the teacher says, did you copy this from Steven? You know what I'm saying? So I was like, I don't know if he's making this up. If he is, this is really good. That actually sounds not too bad, Okay, Mark.
Well, it's the very fact that we're still dealing with some of the same issues forever. I mean, one, I live on the side of Canyon Country on that far side. This thing called the mine has been haunting us for the entire time I've been here, over 26 years. And I was listening to White's column when he talked about the increase in people continues to be an issue, how we're managing growth. I don't think we really manage growth. We've been doing a better job at getting our roads in place, but the 14 freeway now is a parking lot. I mean, now that we've fed everybody in from Golden Valley, we seem to have enough fire stations starting to develop. That's one of the best things we have going for it. But then I look at, you got this whole Burma-Whitaker problem, what's all going on there, the cleanup issues. We've got some big issues that have still not been addressed. So how do we get this stuff to move? How do we actually get these dirty little sins off our plate?
Anyone in specific? Because you mentioned like 4, 5, or 6 there.
Well,
I'm hoping for 4 or 5 solutions.
You got about 30 seconds. Why don't you just summarize up your best solution in 30 seconds? Because you got to go to that meeting with Trump.
I got the Trump meeting.
Yeah.
So the Burmite one, I think, is coming together. I think the cleanup is getting there. Obviously, we'll have a long road ahead when it regards to the water issue. Yeah. But the cleanup is happening. But one of the big things that helped with that is very much related to my Public Safety Commission, and that was they brought a group together to have a place to meet quarterly. So at City Hall, there is a meeting every quarter about the Burmite cleanup, and there are constant updates. So you have to start with a focal point, a place to get it together. You bring the groups together, you develop plans, and you execute them, and that's how you get things done.
All right, awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been hearing from Jason Gibbs. He wants to start a Public Safety Commission where we can meet every 90 days to vent about public safety. Go out and vote for him. At least that's what Dave Goss says. This is Problem Solver Politics. You're here with Cardon, Ellis, and Jason Gibbs and Mark Murphy. Don't touch that dial.
Every year, thousands of local children, teens, and adults receive treatment at the Child and Family Center for depression, anger, anxiety, abuse, thoughts of suicide, and drug and alcohol addictions. Our professional staff provides outpatient services at office locations, in the home, the community, and on many elementary, junior, and high school campuses throughout our valley. If you need help, contact Child and Family Center at 259-9439 or childfamilycenter.org. Improving lives, one family at a time.
Hey guys, this is Cardon, Ellis, host of the new show, Problem Solver Politics, an independent political talk show that keeps you up to date and in the latest political happenings, both nationally and here in the Santa Clarita Valley. Now, this isn't your usual partisan political talk show. At Problem Solver Politics, we have both Democrats, Republicans, and Libertarians hash out their differences on air as we strive to find solutions to today's challenges. Join us Sundays at 7 p.m. for Problem Solver Politics.
Were you scammed into signing a timeshare contract? And did you miss the part that said you have to pay for your great idea? Not only for the rest of your life, but when you're not here anymore, you get to pass this turkey onto your family for them to pay for the rest of their lives. Thanks, Dad. Don't burden your family down the road, and don't be stuck with expensive timeshare payments forever. Get out of your bad idea timeshare contract guaranteed, or pay nothing. Call Resort Release today and learn for free how their timeshare exit team can help you legally exit your timeshare contract. They've helped thousands of people, and they're A+ rated with a BBB. So if you feel scammed, get mad and get out of your expensive timeshare contract right now, guaranteed. Call NOW.
800-716-9903. 800-716-9903. 800-716-9903. That's 800-716-9903.
Once heart attack symptoms begin, delaying treatment increases the risk of heart damage, disability, and even death. Time is critical. Leading the Valley with the most advanced digital technology and treatment times that beat national best practice goals, Providence offers emergency coronary angioplasty and stenting performed by highly trained board-certified cardiologists. For more information, call 1-888-HEALING. The road to healing leads to Providence.
All right. Welcome back to Problem Solver Politics. This is Cardon Ellis. We're in the studio with Mark Murphy. We got Brittany Kirk. And check out this name. Mark, say it.
Cachet.
Mark Cachet. Ooh, dude, I just sound more, I feel like I'm up at, what's that French restaurant off Sierra Highway that's overpriced?
La Chaîne.
Yeah, La Chaîne. Yeah. There we are. La Chaîne. You're not allowed to say La Chaîne. It's La Chaîne. Or whatever it is. Okay, so we're with Mark Cachet and Brittany Kirk. And these guys are the curators of the local libertarian Facebook group. Awesome. And they're also plugged in to the probably top 5, I'd say, Facebook groups in Santa Clarita where you can meet to spew all of your political thoughts, discourse, and opinions. Yes, obviously. So, dude, Mark, Brittany, tell us a little about who. First off, you're libertarians. And for those people out there, how do you dissolve into one sentence libertarian ideology for the average suburban Santa Claritan? What does it mean to be libertarian?
Socially liberal.
Get close to the mic, my man.
Socially liberal, fiscally conservative.
That's how you do it?
That's how you do it, pretty much.
Oh, that is so horrible, but it's good enough for the show. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I'm thrilled with anyone that takes an effort in the whole land of social media to try and orchestrate it in a way that's manageable so you can get an efficient dialogue that actually maintains some form of standard and also keeps it at a higher level, and it's not based in Moscow.
Oh, gosh. Well, hold on. We got to get back to this socially liberal, fiscally conservative thing, because the Green Party could say that, for heaven's sakes. What makes libertarians unique, man? Because if people ever ask me what I am, I say I most closely identify, except for some of this foreign policy nonsense that they come up with sometimes, the Libertarian Party.
Koch brothers implant.
Oh, my gosh. Yep. Please.
I would say the government has basically become so big that it's a giant problem, probably our country's biggest problem. It's spending us into bankruptcy. We're borrowing money for tax cuts right now, raising our deficit projected next year 5% of GDP. So we're cutting taxes, but we're sticking the bills to our kids. We're going to go broke on social spending for sure. I mean, if you look at the trajectory of our deficits, starting next year, we're going to have $1 trillion deficit, and it's going to keep on going up from there as far as the eye can see. We're living on an unsustainable path, and in my view, it's the government that is the problem. They're sucking up all the resources of our country and sticking our kids with the bill.
You know, I love that answer, and I got to tell you, whenever I would see Bernie Sanders get up there and say, it is immoral that the top 3%, you know, I'd always throw around these arbitrary stats. And to be in the top 3%, by the way, before I continue with my little mini rant here, to be in the top 3%, you only have to make $127,000 a year. So if like a high school principal marries his secretary of 20 years experience, all right, you're already making enough to be in the top 3%. I really don't think high school principals are what's wrong with the economics of our nation or the greed of I think what the Toys R Us executives just did about 3 or 4 weeks ago is the problem.
Well, given that top 3% controls 95% of the wealth of the United States, I think we do need to worry a little bit.
The Pareto principle, which is found in nature everywhere, will dictate that the most competent will have the most, okay? So I don't think anybody has a problem with how much wealth the wealthy make as long as those that are on bottom live decently. Now, we won't get into the whole socioeconomics argument here, but I'm just saying I like how you boiled it down to saying, okay, I have a moral problem with racking up such a debt that my children will have to pay. Because like when Bernie would get up there and say, oh, it's immoral, this and this and this, I would say, no, hold on a second. I find a much worse moral problem the fact that we're spending all of this money and then our children are going to have to foot the bill.
Let's not forget, Bernie's a passé. We're talking about the man who's just helped us cut taxes on the wealthy so that we'd have, in the investment class, who unfortunately I'm a part of, so that we'd have the opportunity to only pay a token less than 15% on taxes for the most of our earnings, and to sit there and turn around and say it's okay that 1 out of 5 children has no food or doesn't have enough food to feed themselves for the day, or that we can have the biggest military in the world. There's so many things that we do to benefit the wealthy that I begin to wonder who is the moral incompetent. It isn't the Bernie Sanders of the past. It's the Trump of today.
All right. So a bunch of people just cheered. And they just friend requested Mark Murphy after that little soliloquy.
The only friends I have.
All right, so Mark and Britt, tell us about your group, kind of how it started, and how people can get involved, and why libertarians are the most rational people in this room right now.
No. I think so.
I think libertarians are the most rational people in the country. I don't see how there's anything controversial about being a libertarian. I literally think it's just saying I have a set of things that I wouldn't do when it comes to restrictions, but I don't expect these people not to do it. And then there's very few things where there's things that I don't think I should do, and I don't think other people should do it. And it's so simple.
Okay, so what you mentioned right now is one of the biggest frustrations. Is I think most Americans actually are truly libertarian at heart.
I do too.
Like, for example, libertarians on gay marriage, for example, they'd say, I don't care. Let people do what they want to do. It's their right to do whatever they want to do, as long as they're paying their taxes and they're not screwing me. I think most people at heart.
We're not going to go there. That's not an FCC violation.
That's funny. I think most people at heart have a very libertarian view, but the only problem is the libertarian candidates are such jokers. I mean, I helped Troy Castagna run in, 3 election cycles ago, and the libertarian candidate they threw up was wearing a velour jacket with red velvet arm pads, and while everybody's in a nice suit showing up to the debate, he shows up, and I wondered if he was sober or not, okay? And he says, when they ask about the gay marriage rule, he says, you know, if 2 gay guys want to get married while they're polishing their handguns on the coffee table, I think they should have both rights. And I'm like, okay, as much as I get what you're trying to say, you know what I'm saying? Like, you just look so goofy right now. Add that to the fact that Gary Johnson didn't even know where Aleppo was. You know what I'm saying? Like, what? How is it that the most rational ideology in terms of being fiscally conservative and socially liberal that I think is shared by 90% of Americans only wins 1% of elections and always produces idiots as candidates? Like, what are we doing wrong?
I think it's just the general idea that libertarians don't want to tell other people what to do. And when you put really good libertarians up, like Austin Peterson, then they have to go to Republican politics to get anywhere. Because most people still have this idea that libertarians are loons because the prominent
just
ones.
Just harder right wing or something.
Yeah,
somehow,
it's like they
right?
have to go right to get anywhere. That's why I think it's important to have people like me and Mark and you to say, hey, we're normal people. There's people like us that all we want is just when we have to spend tax money on things, make it things that we need and not just well, we're going to spend this much because if we don't spend this much, then we're going to lose it. And so everybody has to keep paying. And
okay, so then what's the pitch here? Because I would love with all my heart for all of Santa Clarita really fast to get on your Facebook page and learn libertarianism, right? You know what I'm saying? But what is the pitch? How in one sentence do you explain? Like, you can't just say, "Oh, well, we're the normal people." You know what I'm saying? Like what is the pitch?
There's a few people that take affront to that.
Yeah. What's the pitch of libertarianism in Santa Clarita? Because I would love it if here all of a sudden there grew a libertarian party that actually could put up city council.
Particularly if it came out of the Republican side, I'd be thrilled.
You know what? I would say, just in a nutshell, we probably are Republicans that didn't go crazy and just decide like
I like it.
We're Republicans that didn't go crazy.
We're Republicans that don't think Trump is like Jesus and the second coming, like that.
Well, I don't think I think the most staunch Trump supporter doesn't think that, though. That's a parody put out by the media, and I think it's actually why he will win re-election. Because by because seriously,
wait a second, he's going to be out stumping for himself. That guarantees he's not going to win.
No, the hysteria put forth by the media stumps. Because, like, for example, I say this. When people say, "Are you a Trump supporter?" I'm like, well, yeah, he's our president. I supported Obama. You know what I'm saying? And I've always said I would take a bullet for that man because he represents my country and what my people voted for, even though I starkly disagree with what I believe were his socialist tendencies, right? So in the same token, I say, yes, I'm a Trump supporter, of course, because he is my president. But one of the biggest frustrations I have is if you study history, the reason why partially what many social scientists, I don't know if some people don't call that a science, but what many people that read a lot of history books believe was part of the demise of the French in both world wars was the fact that their propaganda classified the Germans as these buffoons that were too silly to be believed. And by classifying them as stupid and idiotic and buffoonish, they misprepared their people for the great evil that was the technological beast known as German engineering. And that's why they were able to just stomp through France in a way that they weren't able to stomp through even lesser developed countries like Russia, whose propaganda had shown the Germans as a big, fat, evil monster. So I think that the American media, they're so busy trying to call Trump stupid. Even when people called Obama stupid, I'd say, hold on a second. The guy won a Senate race against an incumbent Republican in a Republican district. You're not stupid if you do that. Then he won a presidential race against a freaking Vietnam War vet who'd been in the Senate for who knows how many years. He is not dumb.
No.
Okay? And so I want a return to more accurate descriptions of things and people, and I'm hoping the libertarians do it. And even if we just got to start it here, you know what I'm saying? I want to start it here. So how do we start it? What do we do?
When I think of a libertarian, I think of our founding fathers, to be honest, like Jefferson, and we had a limited government that set the conditions so people could be entrepreneurial and thrive. And we've gotten away from that.
You mean all of those rich white capitalists who just want to keep down the proletariat by developing new things, right?
Well, that same rich white proletariat, they were slaveholders. Let's not forget that.
Well,
2/3 of those men who signed that document were slaveholders and made their money, including Jefferson, entirely on the backs of those that they had incarcerated.
But if you look at the system they set up and the standard of living they had then and where we are now compared to then, they did set up the conditions where this country could be an economic world force and thrive. And we have.
Because of the entrepreneurialism. And that's my biggest fear.
But we also had unlimited resources that we were facing, and we had brilliant people like some of the Federalists who were able to get our debt reconstructed so that we could actually pay it off and become one of the wealthiest nations in the world. And we also had the shrewd negotiations that did occur by the Jeffersons and others that gave us the land that we had so we could keep expanding at such a rapid rate.
Yes, he sometimes violated his own principles. He wasn't a perfect man, but he was, I think he was one of our best leaders out there. And, I often look to his principles, to be honest, of how our government should function now. Not that it can function exactly how it did now. It's a different time and a different era.
Well, I'm glad you say that, though, because when I do read, for example, like the Federalist Papers and things of that nature, I really do view our history as being extremely libertarian.
It is. It's very
I
libertarian.
mean, extremely. And the more we actually go away from that and adopt, because it's very weird being, there is always this tie between libertarians and Republicans, because obviously the more conservative of the two mainstream parties are the only chance a libertarian candidate has right now. Even Ron Paul said, when asked, why do you always classify yourself as Republican? He's like, well, there's no other choice if you want to win an election. So the biggest demise, I have two huge things that I think are the biggest problem in American politics right now. One is a dishonest media. The fourth branch of government is not doing its job and hasn't been doing its job since Reagan unfortunately signed it's one of his few biggest problems, but when he signed the Fairness Doctrine away, media got insanely irresponsible, and it is by default almost completely leftist. And then second,
wait a second. I'm going to completely disagree here, because I'm going to tell you that the challenge of the media is the media has been trying to hold government accountable. They are responsible for being accountable to the individuals, not to the presidents. I mean, we have a president in the office who's constantly shutting out media or calling them false. We have a party that is in disrepute. This is going after the First Amendment and going back to our founding fathers,
hold on.
and needs to stop.
Okay, but hold on. Yes, he's calling out the media for consistently
calling our media false, and I find that offensive.
Okay, but hold on.
And a violation of our First Amendment rights.
For somebody, I think, that has kind of that veneered perception of the media, every single time I've been in the media, I have been at best misrepresented. What Denzel Washington says about if you don't read the papers, you're uninformed. If you read the papers, you're misinformed, I think is so completely true.
Well, if
and
you
the
read
proof
the
is
National
this.
Enquirer and the Star, you're probably deserve
no, but
what
hold
you
on.
get.
The proof of this is that when I was a kid, I was told that a valuable primary resource was actually a newspaper article, because there were standards of journalism that were held back then to a point in which you considered a newspaper article about something an actual truth, something that could be quoted. Nowadays, you can't consider that on both sides.
I don't.
Except for
I don't either.
when you do the math.
The percentage that's backed by Fox, which is a conservative network, and that has fed a whole certain amount of entertainment propaganda, not newsworthy.
Okay, but hold on.
But I also, these are the people who as our guests, who actually are trying to do something about it. They're providing a forum that can allow us to actually get it out in the open and let people discuss this, as long as it's free and not restricted by that certain president.
Yes, no, I get that, but hold on. You're exactly tying into why I want these people here in these kind of Facebook groups to thrive, because everybody always talks, Fox News this, Fox News that. Oh my gosh, they are a cable news source that holds less than 1/3 of the market share of cable news. In the vast array of media, especially news media, they are a drop in the bucket. And who cares?
And
because
their vice president of communications, vice chief of staff,
Yeah.
used to be the guy controlling
And
Roger
Hillary-
Ailes and bearing all of the women issues.
Okay, and then
he's
George
in the White
Stephan-
House. What are we talking about
hold
here?
on, but-
This communication is a fiasco.
No,
we
but
don't
this-
have open network
no, but
journalism now.
you're being one-sided about this, because
Yes,
George.
I am very one-sided. I'm
George-
very opinionated because it's wrong.
Yeah, okay. Well, you didn't have a problem when George Stephanopoulos was Hillary Clinton's main media advisor, and
I
then now
did.
he's the guy. Okay, well, I don't remember you being as vocal about it, but the big
I was
problem.
a mere child.
Okay, yeah, but no, this was during the both Hillary Clinton
I
complaints.
know. It was. I'm talking 2 years ago.
Just-
I've grown up.
Okay. So the point is, all you're doing is illustrating more perfectly the fact that our fourth branch of government is not doing its job of holding government accountable, because the liberal networks are only holding the Republicans accountable, and there's one news media outlet out there, Fox News,
It's not
you know what I'm
holding
saying?
anybody definitely accountable.
That is attempting to hold Democrats available. And when you study the stats, don't be a science denier on this, please. There are so many factual analyses of American news media right now that point to a drastic left-leaning bias in most print and broadcast media in this country.
The biggest lie
towards
the
the
Republicans
left.
continue to put out. But I love to hear from the libertarians tell us how.
So
they're
tell us
trying
how
to
you're
create an
fixing that.
Open,
Because the
they
media
are.
right now has a lower approval rating than Congress. Congress is sitting at 15. The media is at 13, if I looked at this correctly. And people are switching for their news and their interaction on politics to social media. So that's why I think guys like you are so important. So how are you changing the landscape of how people interact with us? How are you interfacing in this brave new world?
So this is basically what happened. I moved out to Santa Clarita about 2 years ago. It was right when, all the Trump, Hillary, everything.
Great time to move here.
It was great, yeah. So I moved from Studio City, so I kind of felt more comfortable here.
Okay, good.
And one of the first things I did was went online. I used to work in social media, and the first big group I found was called the Santa Clarita Open Forum. They talk about all politics. It can be Santa Clarita, it can be all over, the country. Pretty much it's an open forum.
Isn't it mostly run by leftists?
No, it's actually not. Matt Denny started.
Because I've heard people complain when
that group.
Okay.
No,
You do know that the leftists, the greatest leftists in history, was Jesus.
Oh,
gosh.
Oh, please.
You know what? Next time we come back, I'll bring my Bible so I can dispute that.
You're talking to the Methodist. Okay, anyway, keep going.
So I noticed that there's a lot of really hardcore left-leaning people, a lot of really hardcore right-leaning people, and there's a couple groups that are right and left in Santa Clarita, but there was nothing for libertarians, nothing. So I just went ahead and I started Santa Clarita Libertarian Group, thinking no one would join, and no one did until Mark came along, and there was two of us basically passing back and forth liberty memes. Well, somebody got a hold of this in the Santa Clarita Open Forum and let everyone know, like, hey, there's this group. And to me, my first thought was, oh, now I have to talk to people, but because I don't want to admin people. I don't want to have to say stop fighting kids.
She's a typical libertarian.
Yeah, I just want to talk about libertarian values, and that's it. So people started joining. It started snowballing, and that's kind of where we're at today. And I think that it's actually a really great group to come in and say, from a libertarian standpoint, here's what's going on in Santa Clarita. Here's what's going on in the country. You're not going to come in that group and debate, why libertarians right or wrong. We all agree that that's where our baseline should be.
All right, awesome. We're going to hear more about this group and how you can join it. The Libertarian Revolution is starting in Santa Clarita, and you heard it here first on Problem Solver Politics. Don't touch that dial.
Every year, thousands of local children, teens, and adults receive treatment at the Child and Family Center for depression, anger, anxiety, abuse, thoughts of suicide, and drug and alcohol addictions. Our professional staff provides outpatient services at office locations, in the home, the community, and on many elementary, junior, and high school campuses throughout our valley. If you need help, contact Child and Family Center at 259-9439 or childfamilycenter.org. Improving lives, one family at a time.
There are times when nothing else will do because you know exactly what you want. You want the Alamo, the taste of true Mexican cooking at its best. At Alamo, you're treated to a taste that is truly Mexican with an atmosphere to match. Enjoy a Cadillac margarita, try a mucho burrito, or sizzling fajitas. Voted the best Mexican food in the SCV and a favorite of former supervisor Mike Antonovich. Alamo Rotisserie in Granary Square, serving Santa Clarita for over 30 years.
Healthcare can be difficult if you're underinsured or have Medi-Cal. Samuel Dixon Family Health Center can help. Services are available on a sliding fee schedule. The mission of the Samuel Dixon Family Health Center is to give the Santa Clarita Valley access to affordable, quality primary care. There are 3 locations to serve you: Canyon Country, Newhall, and Valverde. Go to sdfhc.org for more information and to find the location most convenient for you.
All right. Welcome back. This is Problem Solver Politics. We are in the studio with my co-host, Mark Murphy.
And the one thing we agree upon is our hosts are providing, our guests are providing a beautiful service for Santa Clarita. Please tell us more about it.
Yeah, well, pretty much. That's actually, I was going to toss to you, but I was going to say their names first.
Oh.
So,
I can't remember my name, let alone theirs.
All right, so we are in the studio here with Brittany Kirk and Mark Cachet. These guys run the Libertarian Santa Clarita Facebook group where all are welcome to come and opine. And gosh, sometimes I really wish that we could just pre-record the cool things that we say in between the breaks, because that 30 seconds between you guys was beautiful. We mentioned a little bit of discourse in especially social media, political speaking, And you feel like you've conquered that and that you guys do a pretty decent job of that. And I think for us to really learn and come together, as Thomas Jefferson said, through the clamor of many voices will the truth be established. In order for this truth to be established, we have to be able to discourse respectfully, even if we're proving Democrats completely wrong in their socialist and communist views. No.
I would agree. The socialist and communist views we picked up from the Republicans. But anyway,
so
it's the civil discourse and the safety that you've created in your community that's so impressive.
All right, so tell us a little bit about your group, and then also just what other groups are there out there that you found success with in talking in Santa Clarita? This is pretty interesting.
So our group is SoCal Libertarians. We started out as just Santa Clarita. We've expanded because we actually had people that wanted to come in our group because literally in the group rules is civil discourse is key. That's just
I love that.
Yeah. You're the SoCal Libertarians.
Right.
So hip.
Now
it's just a group. It's just a name. It's just.
Can I get the T-shirt?
Yeah.
This is modesty.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, discourse, I mean, is our thing. We're, I guess, what you call a highbrow group. We don't tolerate people coming in and trolling or personal attacks on other members.
Unless it's a really good meme. I mean, I have seen some really good troll memes that I was very happy to repost.
We let it go.
Yeah.
And if we think somebody's drunk when they're posting, we'll mute them for 24 hours and we'll let them come back. Because occasionally it happens.
This is civility at its best.
Yes.
Wait, I have to know. I'm sorry. Stop the presses. Okay, how can you tell when somebody, because there's no slurred speech when you're typing, is it just because of a bunch of typos? Or like, how do you tell they're drunk?
Does it resemble a president's tweet?
Like a bar, we have our regulars, and we know when to cut them off.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, we tell, just...
When somebody acts radically different than they normally act and it's Friday night, then, you know.
I think
is it like, oh, I love you, man, dude, actually, Social Security, we need it as a safety net because if you ever didn't have money, dude, like, you need to, I love you, bro. Is that like what they're saying or what?
I think when anybody's calling me or Mark or Matt, the other admin, a communist, they're getting muted for 24 hours. Especially if it's like, especially if it's like 4th of July after 5 o'clock. I think we ended up.
We could put 2 and 2 together.
Yeah. So that's.
Oh my goodness.
But for the most part, we've noticed that for the most part, people will leave on their own if they feel like they don't jive with the group. I think a couple of people have had like a come to Jesus moment, and so they're like, I got to go back to my corner.
Yeah.
But this is definitely a place where you can come and explore libertarianism.
Now, hold on a second. I do have to put in a dig on Mark Murphy here, the guy that just said the biggest leftist was Jesus. He actually said, give unto Caesar that which is Caesar's, give unto God that which is God's. That sounds really socially liberal and fiscally conservative, just like the libertarians complain.
Completely agree.
So I think Jesus was a libertarian. I'm on record. He's a libertarian.
I think Mark might be a secret libertarian.
The other 5,000 feeding the widows and orphans and health care for all. But anyway, we'll move on.
The one thing I did want to point out to our group is it's not just for libertarians. We believe, as you mentioned earlier, a lot of people really are libertarian, but they don't know it because
they just don't know it.
It's such a small party that they haven't been exposed to, our ideas and our platform.
And when they get exposed, it's by guys wearing velour jackets with red, or
doesn't-
not knowing where Aleppo is.
It doesn't help, yeah.
Well, it's this idea of safe civil discourse that I think is so commendable. Whenever you're providing a safe place for people to come and experience and learn about politics, that's a good thing. And you need to make sure others know about that because right now there's a lot of people that are hurting.
There's too much anger out there in politics, and as a libertarian, we do have some views from both parties. So I consider both sides to some point my brothers, and it really hurts to see them tear each other up
so
like that.
What's the biggest? Okay, I like that you said that though, because for example, I think there is a safe place within libertarianism for people that are very socially liberal. I also think there's an extremely safe place within the libertarian for those Republicans that are like, yeah, Donald Trump bugs me, but he's the only guy talking fiscal sense. You know what I'm saying? So there's definitely a place for people of both parties. But what's the biggest deterrent? Because for example, I even get a little bit frustrated when I hear these only open borders talk, laissez-faire, zero intervention. Like, honestly, if libertarians were in the White House in 1944, we never would have stopped Hitler.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like that's where I draw the line in self-defining as a libertarian with the non-interventionist streak that's in the party. So what's the biggest deterrent to people becoming more libertarian? It's got to be more than just not knowing about it.
The biggest deterrent, I would say, is people take the philosophy to such an extent that they ignore reality.
Absolutely.
And that could be an issue. I mean, we do have a philosophy of non-aggression and so on, but
sounds a lot like Democrats. That's great.
But when but when reality bites you in the butt, you have to be a little bit more flexible and deal with the problem at hand.
You're talking about the guys that brought you the Vietnam War.
You mean JFK and LBJ?
Yeah, those guys.
Yeah.
And then let's go on back just a little bit further, that big World War II thing. And then, of course, we had that Korean War thing. The Democrats are fine at creating wars. Please don't knock
absolutely.
them.
They're very good at it.
Yeah, very good at it.
That's what I'm saying. We agree. See,
we
look.
just don't like Iran.
Bro hug.
Okay.
So,
we
keep
like
going.
to go into tropical places, not mountainous, sandy places.
Oh, that's
I
true.
think a lot of times people see libertarians as just idealists, and we really aren't. We understand for the most part. There's a couple that are like no roads, no whatever, unless you pay for it. But most of us realize, hey, we know that we need to have some, taxes to go to roads and to go to certain things for society to function. What we want is for less government intervention where it doesn't need to be, where we don't want all this extra spending where it doesn't need to be, and we don't want someone telling us their moralistic views. I believe that, pretty much all laws you try to legislate morality, and I don't think that we do it very well.
Okay. So then, really quick, in the last little bit we hear, besides SoCal libertarians, what places have you found are good forums in Santa Clarita to talk politics?
So, Santa Clarita Open Forum.
Okay.
They have just adopted a new rule. You can't have personal insults. But pretty much everything else goes.
Okay, rock on. Open forum, good job.
I would say also Anonymous Santa Clarita, which I happen to admin.
Like the anonymous people with the Guy Fawkes mask?
Well, this is the thing.
Do you have to be a hacktivist to join?
No.
Okay.
It started out as asking any question, and it's become really political. People want to be able to ask questions without getting dogged on. So you can ask a question, and I will
she retypes it so the person asking is not identified in any way.
And I absolutely won't. Yeah.
Okay, okay, so really fast, just to wrap this up, you think Santa Clarita Open Forum's awesome?
Yes.
Anonymous Santa Clarita, and then, of course, the most important, the SoCal Libertarians. We'll stop with those three. Those three are plenty fine. Make sure you go back out there, you like them, of course, once you're done liking our page. You subscribe to them, and you participate. Everybody needs to be libertarian. Come back next week. This is Problem Solver Politics.